that FedEx has delivered us a package, which means it's time for another video. Today we're going to take a look at changing out the aerator pump on a sewage system. If you live in a rural area that doesn't have city sewage treatment, then you know you have to treat your sewage yourself. Part of doing that correctly is to aerate the tank. Alright, so here's what a typical setup looks like. You can hear the alarm going off, and that's what I came out here to. There's a red light that comes on and an alarm buzzer. This is the aerator pump, which pumps air underground to the sewage treatment system. When the control box notices that there's not enough air being blown through, it'll trigger an alarm. So I actually mocked this up again because I've already taken it off and prepped this area a little bit for the new pump. But I wanted you to see what it would look like. So I'm going to go ahead and move this out the way and open up the box and see what kind of pump we have, because it's not the original pump. The original pump wasn't available anymore, so I had to go ahead and order a replacement pump. Alright, so first thing I'm going to do is disconnect the electrical. Now we may have to do some wiring. I've already undone the air connection to the feed. I haven't opened this yet to see how this pump connects inside the box. Let's take a look at our new pump. Alright, now getting the correct size pump is more important than matching the brand. It all depends on the airflow that's being delivered. You don't want to deliver too much airflow that's more than what your system is rated for. And you also don't want to deliver not enough airflow so that the debris in there is not processed correctly. Now this pump, I think, I'm going to see the bill in here. This pump was $240. I thought that was a bit steep, but trust me, when you start shopping for them, this one was the bargain discount one. There were pumps that went upwards to $600 to $800. Now, I knew this was going to be plastic pump, but I'll tell you what, the undercarriage appears to be metal. It's very similar to the old pump. In size, I thought it might be a little bit, it even looks like the port's gonna fit. Although I do have a little baggie in here with some new clamps and a 90, which I'm not so sure is going to work. I don't know. We're going to see. And before this air condition turns on, I'm going to go ahead and pull the brake. Maybe. Alright, I've opened up the box. I've turned the whole unit on its side and opened up the box so that I can undo the power connections to the old broken pump. And I have to tell you, I'm not at all pleased with this part, and I'm resisting the temptation to just do away with those components altogether, but then I would lose the alarm system. Alright, I'm going to make sure one more time that we're not hooked to power, so none of this is live. Here's a plug, so I know I'm not. I want to remove this bottom portion here. Okay, and whoop, that's not good. Get out of there. Good thing that I'm videoing it. This is that I'll have a record of where each wire went. Just putting this wire nut back on to remind me that that's where that went. Alright, then we have a black. Black goes to black. And the white goes to the white. Now I have to remove this. Yep. Not gonna cooperate. But I tell you what. Nope. Gonna have to go and get me. Well, let's see if these wires will work. I do believe I'm gonna need some channel locks. More than one way to do this. We'll just remove this and reattach it after. Is a tight crimper. Alright, all this we're going to save and reuse. But our pump is now completely dismantled from the control. The new pump comes with a black cord and a standard 110 receptacle, which we are going to have to remove. Never know when you might need one, so I'm going to leave myself a little slack right here. Clip, string, so I might be able to use that on another project. Now before I start stripping any of that, I'm going to go ahead and thread this through while it's easy. Okay. And compare my length. Strip my wires at around the same area. And be careful not to cut into any of the wire beneath. All right. And I'll just prep my ends. We are very close. Way too much going on right here. So let's see, what don't we need anymore? Don't need this. Don't need this. So now we're going to feed these through. question is, what do we want to do when? I think I'm going to go ahead and tighten up that fitting. Maybe I'll make my electrical connections first. That way I'll make sure that I have plenty of wire inside the main box. Tug on both of these to make sure that wire nut's secure, and it is. Connections are made, and you probably can't see those, so let me zoom in. I've reattached the white lead and the black lead. Both look pretty good. The green wire nut also good. Now I want to this. In order to do it, I need to leave myself a little bit of room. I don't even know if you can see that, what I'm doing. Alright, so I've tightened that down. I retighten this by holding it, the pliers on one side, the wrench on the other. It's tight now. There's a nut on the back. I'm now going to hold. I'll tell you what, I don't know if I want to twist that too much. Alright, that is more than adequately tight. That's how that looks. The electrical connections are now hooked up. Everything looks pretty good in here. I like to not fully tighten anything until I get every screw started, whether it's changing a tire on a car or putting a plastic cap on here. Now this is plastic, so I'll snug them just enough to make sure that no water can get into the seal, but I'm not trying to tighten it. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and stop the tape for a second, because I think I'm going to have to reposition this stone block for this new pump. Probably going to pull it up a little bit away from the house. I would have liked to have it right by the house, so that I don't have to be concerned with grass growing behind it. But looks like this pump's going to go in with a slightly different orientation as the original. Alright, so here's where we are so far. Have my little angle rubber. I believe the pump's going to be right about here, maybe a little closer. That'll allow me. I may have an issue with this power cord back here. Need enough room. I think now. I think that's going to give me good spacing. It also promotes their brand name pretty well too, huh? I guess we should give them a shout out. Septic Solutions. This was their cheapo replacement Cyclone pump. They do carry more expensive ones, and I have to tell you, the shipping and price was fantastic. I ordered it sometime this week. I'm not sure of the date, but got here Friday, early enough for me. I just happened to be off today, so perfect timing for me to make a few videos. But I'm gonna go ahead and pre-stage this and hook up the air connections, and well, we might be done pretty soon. Alright, I am not sure that our air connections match size. They didn't match before, but so I'm gonna go ahead and use a little silicone lubricant. This is not silicone gel, this is like dielectric grease. I'm kind of fanatical about lube. I've broken too many fittings, screws, connections in my time. Alright, I've returned with a rag and a frothy beverage. This is the one that I fear is not going to go on. Which is why we put the lube. Wow, even the clamp fit. Oh no, it wants to slip off. Alright. So far. You see my sweat dripping? Woo! Definitely 90 today. Alright, next thing I'm going to do is hook up, there's an air line that runs to the control box that senses the pressure, and that's what that fitting is right here. I have to loosen that up, see if I can get this air line back routed in a manner. I actually think I'm going to go across the front and around the back. Alright. There's a little brass ferrule in here. I can see now that I'm not so sure that we're operating this correctly. Let's see. Oh, yeah, I can get it on there. Alright, couldn't find the twist tie, so I got me a couple of cable ties right here. Now around the back, I'm just hooking up that black air line, the port on the bottom. This hose right here. I have to do something about that extra wire. And now, give it a shot. There was an on-off switch, so you saw the minute I clicked the on switch, the buzzer went off. I can hear the pump. Pretty quiet. I don't think it's quite as quiet as the other one, but quiet enough. Just have to see. Oh, don't look at this. That's a Sprite, by the way. Okay, so other than wrapping up the wires real quick, we are done. Woo! I can smell those lovely fumes emanating from the sewage system already. We know it's working. Alright, first of all, I'd like to thank you for watching this video, and hopefully you found it useful if you ran into the same problem. Be sure to click like if you like it. That goes a long way to helping me out, and if you have any questions or comments, go ahead and leave them down below, because I try to answer as many of them as I can. Other than that, thanks for watching. Check out the sponsors from YouTube. Maybe it's something that you need. If it wasn't for those sponsors, these kind of videos wouldn't be possible. So thanks again, and see you next time.